happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Kenn Bosak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Kenn Bosak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Kenn bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get some Kenn Bosak.
And we're live, bros. Let me just get Nathan in here just a wee bit more. There you go, bro.
Hey. What's up?
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Much appreciated, as always. Cryptovert, thank you. NFT Showcase, thank you very much. If you could like and share, appreciate it. All right, guys. Our guest today is Gabriel. How goes it, bro? Much appreciated. Gabriel Dean Roberts. And that's at Gabriel Dean Roberts if you want to look him up on foundation.app while we speak. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. It's an exciting time to be participating in NFTs and making art that way, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So I want to jump into something more or less not so much NFT, but more like along the photography or art lines of, people right now are saying, who would buy a JPEG? I think they're missing the point that this is already happening and has been happening with platforms like Getty Images. So as an artist or a photographer who works with, companies, I was wondering if you could explain to people how, for years, people have already been buying digital files from you for, Vice or Vogue or whatever it may have been.
Yeah, so the way that it works, like on that corporate level, I mean, you can even go to things like Adobe Stock, which is a great example, or Getty Images, or many of the other services that people have been using. There's something about it that's really diluted, though. And definitely the valuation is really different. There's something about the way that art has been treated and photography in general that has been really diluted. I think also there's this thing that happens where people think, oh, well, everyone has camera phones, or everyone has a camera now, or things are cheaper or easier. But really the problem is that people still aren't really taking that great of photos. And so that's its own sort of issue. It doesn't take away from actually making the effort to understand lighting, to understand composition or things like that. On the corporate level, I think a great example of something that's been happening a lot is I did a series of shots for an influencer who had sold a bunch of stuff to makeup companies, and they had their own brand. And this is like a prominent person. And I went to their home and they wanted me to take photos of all kinds of stuff to show their lifestyle brand and all of that. And I think I got paid like $1,200 for a 1-day session, which was the most I had ever gotten paid, by the way, for any session anywhere.
How many hours was it of work? Just out of curiosity, were you there for like 12 hours, or was it like a quick run by, take a couple pictures?
I had to travel for 2 hours, and I had to work 10 hours, and then I had to do a whole other day of photo editing.
Right.
Probably really 2 extra.
So that's a lot of work, man.
Right, and here's what they wanted. They wanted me to take 60 photos of lifestyle stuff, and they didn't want any 2 photos to look the same. So if they had outfits, they had to wear different outfits. It had to be about the food that they were eating. It had to be the decor in their home. It had to be all of these other things. And none of this is a problem. Like, obviously they paid me and it was great. But the way that those photos were used, right, they were used for Instagram. And so you go through all of this effort to buy equipment to take really meticulous photos that are really detailed and beautiful.
Tell me they didn't put a fucking Instagram filter on your work.
Right, yeah. Well, sometimes people do that, right?
Oh.
You spend time editing photos and then they do stuff like that. But that's one of the things that happens when you release an image to people. Even when you just post stuff to Instagram, it's a great example. I've been on Instagram for years and years, have been showing my work in photography there, and it really hasn't done anything at all for me as an artist other than feed the marketing arm of Instagram, because Instagram is just marketing. That's how they make their money, is through advertisements. So really what you do when you contribute content to social media in general is you are just giving people stuff to look at so they can be sold stuff. And when you think of it that way, it becomes a deterrent to showing your stuff. Now, I make photos that are intended to be seen on a large scale, 2 by 3 feet and bigger, stuff like that. And so when those things are like really tiny like that, it's a lot of the value was lost. So then there's a dilution of your value. There's a dilution of the work that you're doing in the fact that you're just basically contributing to vampiric marketing.
Yep. Parasites.
So there's like on every level up to, before the advent of NFTs happening, there wasn't really any way for you to do anything with your digital work that was of any real value. And, I admire the things that I did with Vice. When I worked at Vice, I worked as one of the researchers for Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia. It's a show on psychedelics. I have a psychedelic kind of background.
I can see that with the flower art. It's very, psychedelic, but it's not very overwhelming. You know what I mean? But it's
understated.
It's
beautiful. It's elegant, but it's also got that kind of.
There's one here that friggin' blew. This one, how do you?
Nesatanada?
Yeah.
How did you say that?
Nesatanada.
Nesatanada.
Yeah.
Is this sort of like a time lapse photos, or did you use like is this one image that's the image is being like viewed with like a camera and like I'm just curious, how the heck did you make this? It's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Well, a magician doesn't reveal his secrets, but I can tell you that,
it does look like magic though.
He put a camera over top of a microscope and slowly zoomed in towards it. No, it would be a lot smaller, but yeah,
sure,
I
maybe.
Think it's very, very cool.
Yeah, with an image like that, I'll tell you this: that's a still image, and there's something crazy about that particular one because I animated it in such a way that it looks like it is changing.
Yeah.
But it's actually not.
Yeah, it's just the shifting of your perspective as it gets closer.
Yeah.
And it looks like like as I stare at the shadows, I realize they're not moving, but it looks even as if the shadows are moving and there's like real sunlight like actively live hitting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
So,
a lot of things as
on
an
other
artist where you
pieces-
accidentally create brilliance, and like you'll be creating brilliant work, and then you'll have one that stands out in a way that's different, and you reveal like, oh,
Yeah.
I actually just kind of just went for it here. You know, it happens so much.
With these pieces, I've been playing with different variations of light and shadow. There are some of these animations like Control, for instance, which is presently bidding for the next hour and a half. That particular piece is 96 photos that I took, and I animated them together. And it makes its own really psychedelic dance for sure. And I did that in collaboration with a friend of mine who's a great musician named Robert Patrick. And yeah, on some of these other ones like Cinematograph #1, that was 36 photographs on film. And I literally, that's one roll of film. That's every frame from a single roll of film. So all the light changes and all of that stuff all came from basically shooting that one roll of film. And of course, I don't know if you know this or not, but film's kind of expensive. So I'm like, I hope I pull this off, because you don't always know how it's going to look when you're shooting film photography. You get so used to seeing everything instantly with digital that it's kind of a crapshoot.
Right.
So I've done a lot
It's exciting.
of things
though.
Do
recently.
you think that takes away a little bit of the value, though, of some art where, you know, as you mentioned, with like smartphones and everybody having these cameras that kind of do all that, you know, exposure, or with the AI, and you think it takes away from like the value of like art in that sense of a photographer, where you see a beautiful picture from a mountain's perspective, you know, from using film photography, that photographer had to probably do that like 300 times throughout the year just to get the one that they wanted the world to see. And now with like a smartphone, you can just kind of play with the exposures if you know what you're doing with like pro mode, and you don't have to really wait for the world to fit that image you kind of want it to look like. You can make the world look how you want with post.
Well, I think we're in a really beautiful and interesting time where, you know, I'm on Foundation. Obviously, there's tons and tons of 3D digital art, and I really am enjoying playing with the variations between analog and digital. Some of my photography is all digital. Some of it is highly photoshopped. Some of it is not photoshopped at all. And I think that interplay kind of speaks to my perspective on this, where it's like, okay, yes, somebody can do that, but as a person who spends all their time looking at photos, I can see when somebody just HDRs the shit out of something.
Yep.
Or when they use these things. You can't fool people. It's hard to fake it.
I was telling him
When
that
you're talking
yesterday.
about
I
real
saw
photos.
some photos, and it was photos of real art that was physical. And I was like, immediately, like, that has to be a physical piece, right? And he was like, yeah, that's physical. I was like, oh, okay. Sometimes it's hard to tell, and I want to like make sure it's, you know, it's not like a deep fake where
It's
sometimes
hard.
it's starting
Yeah.
to feel harder to tell, but I like to keep checking and keeping up with this, you know, to make sure like I know what physical art looks like as a digital image.
Yeah, I'm always having
Yeah.
to show people my physical stuff just so that they know I actually do it. I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
almost like a rite of passage, you know?
I think it actually doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
I think at the end of the day, because art is subjective, it doesn't matter if it took someone 2 seconds to make it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the subjectivity of someone enjoying it, someone being inspired by it, someone taking amusement in it. So I think that there's a lot of sort of like salt that people are throwing around with saying that one thing is or isn't art. Those people can fuck right off. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
art is so different for other people. If you're clever enough to put a tiny dot on a single plane of white and sell it for 200 Ethereum, good for you. Good for you, and good for the person who bought it, because if they get it and they like it, that's the only thing that matters. And I think if people are busy working on their craft, if they're working on whatever angle that they have on all of this stuff, that's going to make all the difference in the world. It's not going to be about, sorry, I'm in New York.
Yeah.
There's, that's the thing that really matters is, are you connecting with your audience? Are you connecting with people on a real level? and that's all that matters. So, for instance, there's a woman who does really well. She just eats fruit on Foundation, and her stuff sells really well, and it's great. Will some people say that's art? Well, I mean, we have performance art. Pardon me, I'm just gonna close this window real quick.
Oh, no
yeah,
worries.
No problem. We're chill.
We have performance art
Exactly.
all the time, and so why can't we blend the space between all of these things? And I think that NFTs and the art community, especially on Twitter and elsewhere, we're in a wonderful new place where we can play. When we're allowed to play. There may be times, like I've really been focusing and refining my stuff to really push the fine art angle, to say, yes, this is an NFT, but this is a fine art NFT. It doesn't mean that it's better or worse than other stuff. It's just that my angle is I'm doing something classic in a modern space. And that doesn't take away from everything else that's happening. And I encourage it. And I really feel like people are going to miss out if they spend their time worrying about other people's art.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the problem, isn't it? Like if you're bringing your positivity and your strength and the very best of what you're doing to your work, people are going to see that. They're going to see your energy, and they're going to know when you have a bad attitude about that. And that doesn't sell. That doesn't do any good for the community. Doesn't do any good for you as an individual. So being positive, and not just for the sake of it, but like really looking at your own art and saying, what can I do to bring this to the next level? That's the only thing that matters. So if somebody's doing stuff with cell phones, with film, with, Blender or the Unreal Engine or whatever it might be, like it's a welcome. It should be welcome to the party.
Right.
This is a party where we're exploring all possibility, where we want to see something new. We want to see something exciting. And that's so important for us right now because everybody's bored, right? There's so many people who are bored with what's been happening, who are bored with this homogenized way in which everything is seen and produced, and the art scene especially.
Yeah.
I've never had a chance to have a gallery show in New York. I went to Art Basel. I saw a lot of amazing work. I saw a lot of terrible work, but I didn't have a chance to be there. I've only been doing NFTs for less than a month. And in that amount of time, I've connected with more people. I've sold way more art, and I've gained a new sense of confidence by connecting with an audience that really actually is interested in art. And I think that the traditional art world is nervous because the buyers are different now. You don't have to be some stuffy dude who's had millions your whole life. You could be a guy who last year invested some money in Bitcoin and now you're on a beach somewhere shopping for NFTs for fun. Great. Bring more people to the party. So change is good, but it doesn't take away from the fact that like there is no replacement for hard work and experience as well. And I think that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that it seems like in the art world, we criticize those that don't do things the way we do them, if they don't take the same amount of time or kind of put the same measures into it. However, we don't want them to copy us either. So it's like, do it like I do, but not how I do it. And it's very confusing to people. I think it's nice to see this attitude of like overall acceptance. Your art's good, my art's good. It does, like you said, it doesn't matter if somebody takes a red dot in the middle of the canvas or if it's, a Picasso that took a long time to make it look like it doesn't look like anything. Like they both have the same kind of meaning behind it at the end of the day a lot of times. And it is just marketing too. Like
I think the arts, like you mentioned,
market the dot.
Very subjective, but are the mediums, I think that might be what's more interesting are the new mediums of exchange of art, these marketplaces, different blockchains, Nifty Gateway has their, auctions, and then there's people that can just say, hey, DM me if you want to buy this from me, and that medium has been changed. There's no more gatekeepers, it's almost like we've been saying since the dawn of Bitcoin, go unbank yourself, right? Get unbanked. It's telling artists now to ungallery yourself.
Yeah. there's some really cool stuff happening. I do want to touch on that idea of Picasso, because if you look at Picasso's early work, he did photorealistic paintings.
Yes.
And near the end, right, he was, I use this as an example all the time when I'm talking to people about the effortlessness of minimalism and things like that, where, you know, his famous painting of a horse, there's a single stroke.
Yeah.
And he's saying something with that single stroke, because think about him as a student, right? Young Picasso, like getting into all of these granular details, working on every single thing. And every artist, no matter what they're coming from, they're all going to try to say, how can I get this to translate to somebody who's going to buy this? How am I going to eat from this? I better make it. And then when you get to that Picasso level, you do the single stroke.
Yeah.
And that's really beautiful.
I think it's beautiful too. It shows that perfection is subjective.
Yep.
You know, I spent all this time to make this perfect artwork, yet this line is more perfect in its own right. It's beautiful. It's it's so unique too, and that's just how nature works. There's something about the complexity of like a great view, or just the simplicity of like a close-up of like a part of a flower or something, or like there's all these contrasts.
There's a quote by Terence McKenna. He said, "We have to accept the messiness of the mystery."
Yeah.
I think that's what's great about with any kind of photography, with flowers, or even, you know, when you spend time like retouching supermodels' faces and stuff like that, you're getting into like all of this detail, and you realize that everybody is kind of like gross when you're like way up like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with flowers and the imperfections of things that are blurry. Every piece of work that I've ever made, I can see how I could do it better. And some of it is laziness. Some of it is not being able to see it in the way that I needed to see it at the time of shooting it. Sometimes it's just your technical settings on your camera, etc. But all of that is a part of the process. And even the movements and the changes that we make are part of the beauty of the art.
Wasn't this why people love vinyl so much more than they adore their CDs or MP3 files? That vinyl, that crackle, that pop, the fact that the trumpet may not be on cue at that one in particular, you know, moment. That's what makes it real.
Yeah,
it's like the squeaky kick drum pedal that
John
Bonham had on the Led Zeppelin song "Since I've Been Loving You." You hear,
that's hilarious. Exactly.
Yeah.
So do you see a possibility for platforms like Getty Images to adopt and maybe become like Nifty Gateway with how they use their marketplace? Or do you think they may become more like a Blockbuster to Nifty Gateway's Netflix?
It depends on what they decide that they want to do and how their thinking is. The fact that Christie's held that auction with Beeple and, you know, that $65 million sale was made, I think that's the number. I don't know.
Yeah, it almost seemed like planned obsolescence. Like they made themselves obsolete because Beeple can just make his own auction house. He doesn't never have to go back to Christie's again.
Right, but there's something that's important about, there's galleries that are going to remain, there are institutions that are going to remain for the same reason why you can make a steak at your house, but you go to a restaurant and have them make a steak for you. You can buy a bottle of vodka for what, $10? Or you can pay $10 to have a vodka soda at the local bar. Why do you do it? It's not just the thing itself, it's the experience of it, it's the totality of the experience. And so the erudition that comes from Christie's has its own cachet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there are companies that are going to blockbuster their way into history, and there are those who are not going to adapt. I'm friends with an investment banker who dabbles in art, and literally 2 weeks before I started selling NFTs, he was like, well, you know, I might want to buy some of your art, but he's like, I've been going to galleries and talking people down, and you know, an $8,000 piece I got for $800. These people are desperate. You can't sell art. Art isn't selling. And then I reached back to him and I said, hey, my prices have gone up if you want to buy something. And he's like, well, NFTs are a fad and all of that sort of stuff. And it's like, people are sleeping.
Yeah.
The fact
You know,
that
oil painting
even if
is
I sell
just
the
a
traditional
fad.
piece-
You know, oil painting's not gonna. Nobody uses oil, and you know,
right.
that's how it was for
Well-
different tools or different types of material, like different canvases or different paint, and nobody's gonna use that kind of paint, or nobody's gonna use that brush. And next
Yeah.
thing you know, it's like, well, people like the way that looks. It doesn't, you know. And that experience you're talking about, I think, you know, Nathan could chime in on it with the super world, where like people are more having virtual experiences and going to Decentraland
Yeah.
or crypto voxels, and they're kind of getting that same experience they would expect to get when they go to the bar to have that $10 drink. They could still mingle
Mhm.
with their friends and have the refrigerator in their kitchen and never have to leave their house. And I think that the pandemic lockdown kind of like really kicked off that virtual
Yeah.
replacement for those physical events. And of course, they may not all go away, but like you mentioned earlier, the amount of liquidity that is here due to the ability to just enter, there's no borders to entry.
Yeah.
I can just put on a headset, go to your Decentraland, the gallery, and I can, you know, pick up art and talk to people that are looking at it just as I would.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The other thing that is good is I think that certain gatekeepers, certain institutions, certain companies or whatever, and galleries, I think are still really valuable because it's not just, there's so much now that it's nice to have people who have experience, who have an eye for these types of things. And yes, not everybody can be in a bougie gallery. Not everybody can be at the MoMA, but there's a whole art to just being a curator.
Yep.
And
You're
that
right.
art of curation is also going to change and grow. But I don't have any problem with Nifty Gateway or the fact that I can't get into Super Rare or Nifty Gateway or
Oh, you're on
any-
foundation, man. You're good.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like all of these gatekeepers in the old guard, they still have a card to play. They still have a hand to play, but they have to change their thinking in order to survive.
Absolutely.
If they were to say, hey, I know you can sell your NFTs in one way or another, but let me do it for you, because people come to me right now. There's all of the young startups and all the young bucks and all of the people who have
I
like
love these young
made
bucks.
money and done this stuff in the new way. But we're forgetting that there is a huge number of people who are traditional art buyers who are basically stymied for the time being because they don't understand how NFTs work. Once they understand how it works, they're going to want to be a part of it.
Right.
And so
I think those
Reminds me of
galleries that you're
Bitcoin.
talking about,
Yeah.
I think they'll be able to help a lot of those artists turn their art in, like Christie's
Yes.
did with people, right? Like, exactly.
not everybody can do it. Not everybody can do
100
it. Not everybody
Well, they
be a
can, but they
one-man
can't. 100%.
band. Right, yeah.
Horrible.
Well, because like, okay, so my background and my recent background has been doing media stuff, kind of managing all of the like tentacles of social media, doing photo, doing audio, doing video, building websites, all of that stuff. So I kind of am lucky to have spent a lot of time learning how to do these things for myself. So I've been able to, in a really quick space, refine my brand and bring it to something that I'm starting to be really happy with. But not everybody has that. And the way that your stuff is packaged means a lot, because context is everything.
Yep.
If you didn't know about Basquiat and you saw a real Basquiat at a garage sale in Oklahoma City, would you want to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for it? Would you even know? You wouldn't, because context. If you saw that at Jay-Z's house, right, you would understand its value because of the context. So that's what gallerists can do, is they can provide context. They can provide the packaging for it. It's the same thing that music labels have done. And all of these things are moving and changing. And I don't have any skin in the game for advocacy for these people. Like, if they don't fucking change, then sorry. But I think that there's space for it. And I honestly, I would welcome traditional gallerists to come into the space and give their own flair to it and their own taste and to curate things in new and better ways. And I love the things that are going on with cryptovoxels and Decentraland and things like that. But we're still in the early stages stuff. We need to get to a place where we have crossed the uncanny valley, where it's more like we're inside, what is it, like Call of Duty? Like you're actually walking around and things are quasi photorealistic and your avatars are photorealistic and you're moving seamlessly between people's stuff. But another thing that's interesting about this too is I'm working on something with superworld.app, which I don't know if you guys know about this.
He works with
I'm
them.
the head of NFT
Oh,
strategy,
okay.
so we should chat.
Yeah, so I have a piece of property, AR property in Central Park.
Nice.
Oh,
And-
good cop. You got the good one. Okay.
It's a good call.
We may or may not have some sort of like art thing happen in AR. So what happens when you can have your art show anywhere in the world? What happens when you have, say, as I do, a little space at the Louvre? Does that mean that you can now have an AR art show in front of the Louvre? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
AR flash
Now-
mobbing. It's coming soon.
absolutely.
yeah, so that's a crazy thing. I think that the AR stuff like that with Superworld is kind of like, did you ever see that movie There Will Be Blood with Daniel
Of
Day-Lewis?
course.
People buying the property up and the rights to the property and stuff like that. I think this stuff is like Bitcoin.
And a lot of what
Like
we
back
do
in the-
there, in my opinion, is so, we've seen what happened with coronavirus and all these things with shutdowns and jobs and the ability to kind of maybe lose a job in the future to a lot of the machine learning and AI that's going on right now. What we have in a platform like Superworld is a place where you can actually monetize your creativity and your ability to kind of package and market that creativity as well, i.e. Pokemon Go or something, But just the ability to use your brain and your heart to create a job for yourself in the future when, all the factory jobs will probably be gone. Driving trucks will be gone. All these things that people would rely on if times got tough, like, oh, I'll just get a job at the factory. Like, they're not going to be there.
Nope.
So
Yeah.
to have platforms that allow you to use your brain and your heart and your artistic eye to kind of monetize yourself and secure yourself in the future, like this is why I'm excited about Superworld and platforms like ours.
Yeah,
it's
I
kind
love
of,
it.
The way around
I-
that,
I'm all in on Superworld. I'm like 100%.
We've got this
I wanna be-
obstacle
Love to
we're just
hear
trying
it.
to climb, and we're just like, we can walk around it, right? There's a way around. Like, why are we even climbing?
It
this
reminds me
thing?
of the Peter
Yeah.
Griffin meme when he's trying to get in the army.
Yeah,
Everybody's climbing over the rope. He walks around the wall and he's like, "You guys are stupid."
yeah. Everybody's like,
Yeah.
what are we gonna do in the future when robots take the jobs? And we're like, we built it. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
Yeah, I'm excited to live in
Yeah.
that too. A lot of people think it's like dystopian, but I want to live in a world where people don't have to work. They only work because they want to.
Yeah,
We only exist
that's like
because we need
Buckminster
to.
Fuller. Buckminster Fuller was an amazing engineer. He made the famous buckyball, which is I can't even explain it. It's basically a better way to do like dodecahedrons and stuff. If you've ever seen like those domes that are made with triangles,
Yeah.
he did that kind of stuff. But he also made an electric car, like this gigantic, weird-looking electric car that was like super efficient, like back in I don't know the 60s or the 50s, something like that.
They just
But
made
he
us
talked
more.
about how back then he said we have the technology for people to not have to work. And what do people do? What do they do with their time when they don't have to work in those traditional ways? We have so much creativity and so much to share and so much that we can have to enrich each other's lives, but we're so subdued by busy work. And this is why people hate their jobs. It's not because jobs are bad or because people are lazy. It's because they know that they're being subdued. They know that they're not working to the best of their ability and the best of their talents. And I quit my job to just do NFTs last week.
Wow.
And
respect and welcome to the party.
Welcome.
Yeah.
You did it
I
a
loved
while
my
back
job.
too. So welcome.
I love my job and I love the people and I'm good friends with the people that I work with. But even at that, there's this disconnect where their goals and their vision aren't always the same as my own. And I'm spending time that I could be spending on making, great works of art, making adjustments to, hyphens on people's copy for their websites and stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I had to ask myself, am I better served? Will I do better work? And my life is short. Life is short in general. What am I going to do with this time that I have here? I want to be making art that is blowing people's minds. I haven't even done my best work yet because I haven't squeezed every single last element of the planning. I'm shooting like right here. I have a Manhattan apartment. It's tiny. This space right here is where I do all of my work. And you know what I mean? It's like, so you have like artists who have these gigantic warehouses that say it's bohemian. There's like candles and a hookah lounge and all of this sort of shit. And I'm just like right here with this. But there's all of these incremental things we can't make excuses about, right? And so now that I'm a full-time artist, which feels great, buy my shit on Foundation, please.
I keep sharing the link in the chat, so they're not missing that link. It's there.
Yeah. So when you have that experience, right? Now I'm asking myself, when I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking, all right, how can I refine my message? How can I refine what I'm doing? And how can I make my work the very best that it can possibly be? The stuff that I started selling with my NFTs was with a camera that's like 10 years old, and it's a great camera, but it has its limitations, especially when you are in competition with stuff that is impossibly perfect. Unreal Engine, Blender stuff is like built flawless. So when you bring things to the table that are 2D and more traditional, you got to flex. And so I used some of my first earnings just to buy a new camera, and I slapped on this lens is a Leica lens from 40 years ago, and it's what I'm taking all the photos with. Thankfully, it's a lot cheaper to buy a Leica lens when it's 40 years old and used.
As an
eBay.
artist, you'll be able to auction off your old lenses to people who collected art that was taken with that lens.
Yeah, for sure. There's all kinds of stuff that's happening with NFTs too that people don't even realize. I don't know if I should even say it, but the moment artists realize that they can just take video of them like having coffee in the morning and posting that and selling it.
Yeah.
I thought about that, like, what if Lady Gaga just woke up and for like 30 seconds every morning, she just showed herself like cutting an avocado or sitting and having tea or petting a cat. Any of those things, like, you think about memorabilia, right? Think about the Rolling Stones and all these iconic bands and groups and how crazed people are for the musicians and the artists that they love, right? Just like what you're saying. There's going to come a time where people are essentially going to just be an artist themselves. Like, just the image of the artist has its own intrinsic value. That's what BitCloud is kind of about. This idea that like you as a person have a stock market type valuation sort of thing. It's pretty wild. It's a little bit scary and a little bit like the way that the Chinese government, it's a little black.
Yeah, I haven't joined it myself, but I see it.
Either, but I'm thinking about it.
I've created my own currency well before they existed. Nobody needs that, but you can make your own. I made my own currency in 2016, Kenn Coin, or Kenn Token.
Please send me some.
I don't know what it's called.
That's the point.
I don't use it. It was just for fun. And now I have another one on Simple Ledger Protocol using Bitcoin Cash. So my Kenn Coin is on Bitcoin Cash.
Now that's a good one.
And I can send it for 0 fees. I could just send you some Kenn Coin.
Please do.
Yeah, definitely, man. 3D, if you're watching, let's do it. He's the Kenn Coin banker.
Send him some Ken.
But yeah, you could create your own currency. You could sell your art and accept your own currency that you sell for your art, and also accept other currencies while providing an incentive. Say, hey, I'll give you 20% off if you use, if you use Kenn Coin to buy one of my NFTs, right? I can give you money off, or you could use Wax and pay like basically the regular price.
Yeah. I think that we would all really do ourselves a service to, instead of having this attitude of like closing things off to the outside world, or for there to be this like, not a fight, but this strange sort of attitude between people who don't know about NFTs and all of that. I think we should be bringing more people in. I think we should be educating people how to jump into this seamlessly. Tell people, go get yourself a Coinbase wallet, get yourself a MetaMask, start an OpenSea, even if you're just collecting, and go with it. Like, show people how to do this. I told my mom about how I'm selling my art, and I also told her about Superworld, and she's like, I'm going to the bank right now. She's like, I'm getting things set up.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. And she's, 68 years old, and she's set up, and now she's starting to make purchases and things like that. It's like, there's no excuse for people to not be involved with this and to learn and move and change. And I guess that's the biggest thing, is people have to be willing to adapt to change, because it's only going to get crazier. It's only going to like ramp up in new ways that we don't even know or understand. But as long as we're able to like learn the new thing and then take a couple people with us as we learn the new thing, I think we can all sort of raise, the quality of life for a lot of people up, which is great.
Yeah, we're in this renaissance kind of, so we have an opportunity now. All the borders are sort of batted down to the point where we can at least put our stuff out there. You might not get like Christie's exposure, but you're going to have a voice, if nothing else.
That, and your art will be immortal, it'll be out there. Even if somebody buys a piece of art, an NFT from, Gabriel Dean Roberts on Foundation, if I buy a mint one of one from you and I never want anybody to see it, I put it in my basement. Well, it's still on the blockchain. I can still see it. Yes, I can't own it. That guy's never going to sell it, but it's still visible for the world to see for eternity.
Yeah. It's not going to get water damage.
Well, that's the other thing that's crazy, right? Like painters. Shout out to my buddy Gunnar Magnus, who's an incredible oil and ink painter. He also does mixed media stuff.
So he probably got to get why I make fun of people who made fun of oil paint. Like, nobody respected oil paint for a while. That shit took off, and I was a fan. I love oil paint. Yeah. Just saying, bro.
So here's the crazy thing. A year ago, Gunnar would sell a painting to whoever, and I'd be like, oh, hey, how's that painting? Where is it? He's like, I don't know. That's the end of it. Like, when you are a painter or any traditionalist, like the guys who like typewrite poetry at like bazaars and stuff like that, and they just give things away.
It's crazy,
right? They don't know where any of their stuff is. They don't know where their art has gone. And I'm encouraging musicians, artists, poets, write this stuff down, make it an NFT, because at least it's there. And at least you know where it is.
Better than using Dropbox or Google Drive.
And I hate selling.
Yeah, all of these things are antiquated. Even if people don't want to participate in NFTs in the way that like I use them, like selling on Foundation, they should still be using these as smart contracts. And that's the thing that people aren't understanding, is that the smart contract guarantees that you get paid. And even the person who makes the deal with you, they can't renege on it. If they try to do anything with what you've given them, you get paid. And that is, why would I ever sell a physical piece to anyone without one? I won't.
Yep.
And I think that even if people claim to have ethical issues with the carbon footprint, etc., these things will all be worked out. Like, anytime there's a new system, there's going to be inefficiencies that have to be changed. And the idea that it's going to remain that way forever is ludicrous, especially in light of the fact that if you want to work on our carbon footprint, you can change how much we invest in the military or something like that. There's all kinds of different things. And it's not even about like whataboutism, like comparatively. This is something that's new. It's going to take some time to ring in efficiencies. And we're going to get to a place, hopefully in the near future, where the way the scarcity of energy might change as well. So just like we're seeing this scarcity or lack of ability to, we have the gatekeepers and things are centralized. Now we're decentralizing art. we still have to have tastemakers. We still have to have gallerists. We still have to have people who are guiding regular ass people through stuff so that they can see and understand like how this all works and how it's of benefit to them as individuals. It's a really exciting thing.
Have you thought of like the interactive gamification this can provide as an artist to, you know, now knowing where your art is, not necessarily knowing who has it, but it's almost like knowing the PO box to somebody who has a physical piece of art hanging on their wall in their living room. You know, around Christmas time, you could write a handwritten NFT letter and you can send it to every address that's holding one of your pieces of art. That gamification, that level of community engagement is not possible with physical art. But now that you bought one of my pieces of art like 6 months ago, I can send you a unique one of one as a Christmas present. Thank you. Never been possible before in the history of art with synonymy, like without knowing who I am and where I really live. But you can send it directly to me.
I think that's great because in a way, in a non-creepy way, you are forever connected. You are forever connected, and it's you know, there's like this hermetic idea, as above, so below. Like everything that happens in the unseen world is a mirror of the things that happen in the seen world, and this is really an example of that because we are interconnected in our own ways, right? And this is one way that we have sort of a tie down to that shows us, yes, we do have this connection. And what we do with
degrees
that
of bacon theory will be proved by NFTs.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. 7 degrees of bacon. We can actually prove it with NFTs now.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Call Kevin.
Somebody get Kevin Bacon on the podcast. We can solve this.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I just think it's funny to think, you know, about that gamification of it where, you know, I would love to, you know, get a membership to, you know, Gabriel Dean Roberts Foundation where it's like maybe a $10,000 NFT, but every month I get a one of one, you know, photo of a piece of, you know, art and as an NFT as like a subscription box to you as an artist.
Yeah. Well, I think I've been thinking about this a lot because I've been trying to find ways that aren't salesy, but also integrate the quality of experience that people have with luxury brands. Like, you know, for short, I'm like, keep it Gucci, right? This idea. So I try to treat people who buy from me like I am the luxury brand. That's how I see myself, right? I'm fine art. I'm a luxury brand. So what I do is, and this goes for everybody in the audience, the first bidder on any of my stuff on Foundation, I send them an NFT immediately from my hidden catalog, right? When people have made a purchase with me, I reach out to them. I let them know ahead of time when things are about to happen. I let them know if I'm going to have a sale. I make private offers to them. I do everything I can to help them to understand that I value them and that they have a premium product, that what I'm giving them is something that I made, built to last. I made because I knew it would stay for all time, and that I want them to feel that same feeling that you get when you walk into Gucci and you're like, oh, I'm going to get something ridiculous today, but it feels so good, right? And that's how I want my investors to feel. I want them to feel like I've actually made the effort and that the effort doesn't stop and that the relationship is continual. You know, any brand will tell you that all the advertisement in the world is fine, but it's actually referrals that are what get companies to go. And for the company that I worked for before, we realized, oh my God, 60% of our customers, 60% of our sales and new customers, don't come from advertisements or random walk-ins. It was from referrals. So what did we do? We rolled out a referral program. And in the middle of COVID, we had something going on where basically this is a walk-in kind of business, and we had more business. We had more people coming in when other kinds of businesses like that were shuttering.
Well, you gamified what you already had. You gamified word of mouth.
Yeah. So and really, I think even if people can't wrap their head around, you know, complex marketing ideas, just think of it this way. If I have a quality product, someone is kind enough to buy it or they believe in what I'm doing, it's a good idea to take care of them. That's it.
Yeah.
So as an artist, I take care of my people always. And that's the easiest thing in the world. I'm happy, they're happy. As I grow, this is the other amazing thing about NFTs. I just did a fire sale yesterday. Everything that I was sort of like experimenting with or kept extra stock of, I've sold a bunch and I burned everything. So now what I have is only the real good stuff. And every single person who already owns my stuff now has a higher valuation because the next piece that I'm selling is going to raise the value of all of their stuff. So I have a responsibility. It's kind of like they're my stakeholders. They are my stakeholders.
Yeah, they
right?
have like social equity in you.
So yeah, so I'm responsible to them to give them back on their investment. Now I could just forget about it and don't worry about it, but I care about this because I know that these people are going to be the ones who see me through times where it's hard. They see me through thick and thin. They know that I can be trusted. They know that I'm putting my best foot forward. They know that I'm always seeking to improve the quality, not only of my artwork, but of the way I present myself and the way I carry myself. All of these things are super important.
Yeah, I'm curious, kind of to wrap things up on this, are you considering using other blockchains outside of Ethereum based, like sort of how other artists use different types of canvases and they price their art cost on production, right? The cost of production. Some materials cost more, like Ethereum's blockchain would cost more as a production. But other things like wax, that would be like you having a gift store with, knickknacks and stuff that may not be so cost in production and may have more plentiful in supply.
Yeah, you're selling a print, whereas more on ETH,
Yeah.
you're selling like a canvas or like a masterpiece,
Right.
Well, I think that definitely has merit, and I'm totally open to any new innovations and anything that, connects me with people who like my work. And, but I will say that I think that there's two types of buyers out there who are buying art. There's people who buy based on price, and there's people who buy based on what they love and collection. And if you're selling to people based on price, that's one type of market. But there's that, Mercedes would be a great example. Mercedes makes the Maybach. They have 100,000 and $1 million custom cars and things like that. They have supercars. They also have the $25,000 base model. So I think that it's kind of like, one thing I've thought about now is I'm sort of like really tightening things up so that I'm right now on Foundation, I only have one piece up for sale. Like all the other stuff is in auction. And this new piece really represents the next level and the next step for me in terms of like more really focusing on the luxury experience for the fine artwork that I'm doing as NFTs. However, I've been thinking of using like Rarible or other things with wax to do more collectibles, do things that I do, a run of 1,000 or whatever. But I don't think about it in terms of the cost of doing it. Like I've never made something and said, oh, well, it cost me $150 to do this. Any artist worth their salt has basically been making art at a loss their whole life.
Facts.
So
That's
the
some
idea of
real shit.
basing it on
So
labor,
true.
the idea of basing it on labor is fallacious. I don't think it's useful. I think you price things based on what emotionally hits people. Art is an emotional thing. You are having an emotional experience and sharing an emotional experience with other people. That emotion could be comedy. It could be a meme. It could be calmness. It could be anger. It could be
All of those are
pornographic.
forms of art.
Yeah, so
Chaos.
I think that's the thing that matters, and the way that people value themselves should always come back around to understanding that this is an emotional thing and it's a connection that we're having with other people.
Buy it with love, not with your wallet. You got to buy with your heart, not with the bank. And I do try to encourage people. That's, right now we have about 2.5 minutes. I wanted to let the live stream know, because if you missed this, I don't want you to blame me because you're watching Kenn Bosak's live stream. There is also a drop on Gabriel Dean Roberts on Foundation, and right now on Wax, there's a drop happening with the cartoons. I may or may not be inside one of these packs of cartoons as a cartoon myself. That goes to speak on the whole collabs thing. These projects, they're not, huge. These are like the little guys right now or whatever. And I was just honored to be a part of this, so it's really cool. And yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know they're available in like 2 minutes, so don't miss it and blame me. But yeah, that's why I'm buying them. I'm not buying them because I think, they're a great investment, or I'm going to sell them. I'm probably never going to sell the things I'm buying. That's the worst part of looking at my portfolio is seeing how much it's worth. And I'm like, but I really don't care. Like, it's infinite value in love. Like, the number would have to be so ridiculous that it would be like, I can now donate half of it to the artist and we can both laugh at this together and maybe make an original piece of art for me for this whole thing. Like, that's what would maybe get me to part with most of the stuff that I own.
Yeah.
I would have to be able to change my artist's life by selling the art that I bought from them.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we got 1 minute on the live stream, okay? I want to keep this going. We can wrap it up here now, though. So besides like the Foundation, you said you were mentioning Rareable and looking at Wax. So right now with Foundation, I was curious, have you thought of selling the physical flowers that you take images of as pressed art, like pressed flowers that you could sell as like the physical flower that was in the image, or flowers? Or I'm just curious if you thought about doing physical and NFT, tying them together and trying to do something with that.
Yes, I have. Although, interestingly, I thought that it would be one way, and it's totally hasn't been. I've made offers of physical stuff in the past, and nobody really cared. They just wanted the NFT in general. And so spending the effort to incentivize that way hasn't really seemed like it was worth my energy. However, I am doing a new series of Polaroids called Nifteroids that will basically be that, and those will be available if people want them, but they have to reach out to me and say, hey, I want that one that's associated with this, and I will mail it to them. Yeah. And I'm okay with doing physical work like that, but it just needs to be communicated. But right now people haven't made a demand for it, so the extra time and energy to do so, I don't think that's going to move the needle for a sale.
Have you seen some of the physical stuff that's going with the digital world right now with like Zen Vibes, their digital picture frames, or Infinite Objects, where you get this like digital picture frame, but it's like a hardware wallet for your NFT?
I love it. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and it's a great way to move things around. I know that people can set these things up with projector screens and stuff like that. And even from my like collection that I'm building up accidentally, I would love to be able to do that eventually. Yeah.
All right, I look forward to it because I've been, I got, Blau. He's probably one of the more popular musicians who got into NFTs recently. I was lucky enough to buy one of his first NFTs from his first NFT sale. So I got his first NFT, and it comes with a physical collectible that you can redeem. I haven't redeemed it, so my NFT, if I were to resell it, they could still redeem it for that collectible from Nifty Gateway, that physical. And I think that has added a lot of value to people that are more savvy to collecting rather than the people genuinely just buying art out of love. They're not looking at it like that. They're not looking at it as an investment. Again, they're looking at it as just, I love this picture and I love you and I just wanted to PayPal you money, but now I can get a pretty picture instead of just a receipt from PayPal. It's a win-win for all of us. Also, though, if that physical thing does, it wouldn't hurt to have in the vault with your hardware wallet sitting next to it is what I'm getting at. I think a lot of the collectors and investors in art, they are appreciating that physical aspect that comes with the virtual certificate of authenticity, so to speak.
Yeah, I like all of those ideas, and I would love to explore that. And there might be times where I experiment with that for sure.
Oh my God, you jerks, you bought all of them.
They're gone, huh?
They're all sold out. I only had a chance to buy 2 packs of these NFTs today, you jerks. That's the last time I remind my audience to buy something. It's all sold out. I didn't get anything.
Second to last time.
Oh my god, I didn't get nothing. Again. I might have gotten 2, dude. This is
I quit promoting them until after.
I gotta stop. Yeah, I gotta start doing like BitBoy things and only talk about it after. Anyway.
They should send you some.
I'm kidding. I love you, BitBoy. It's a community. I love you. We're friends. So Gabriel, thank you so much for stopping by, bro. Don't forget, guys, it's foundation.app/Gabriel Dean Roberts, and there are 2 or 3 auctions, right? Or 2?
Yeah. It's been a good day.
There's 3 right here. There's the Control, options. Unbounded, and it looks like Elon Musk kid's name something.
That's all right.
Yeah, attorney. But that AE is forever going to remind me of Elon Musk's child.
Yeah.
Thanks for the convo, bro. I really appreciate you stopping by the podcast. If
thank you.
Let's link up sometime.
I know you mentioned you don't have a Telegram, but my biggest piece of advice to artists right now is to start your own Telegram channel. That's like starting your own Clubhouse app or starting your own BitClout app. Like your own Telegram channel is where you don't have to be as active, but at least your community can talk to each other because they obviously have something in common.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
So you're just going to build a free and fun place for your community of collectors to just be able to talk, and maybe they'll be able to trade art with each other because now they have a place that they can gather and communicate. They don't have to go do this or that on Twitter. They can just go to your basically digital living room in Telegram.
That's great.
So keep an eye out for that, chat. I know a lot of you are here from Telegram right now. Thank you, Matt, for tuning in. Mandos, McLovin, Ryan, Max, Mello. A lot of Matts. 3 different Matts. Ryan, Steve, thanks for tuning in. DJ Meat Popsicle. Thank you. Z, he said, how long is the live stream? We keep it about an hour. It's semi-long form. Before Joe Rogan, this would have been considered long form. Litecoin Leo, Jeremy Crow. Thanks everybody for tuning in and supporting the podcast. Of always Emilio in the chat with Wax. I know. We'll get Gabriel and Wax, bros. Crypto Vert tuned in. Thanks again. Who else was in here? Oh, the NFT showcase stopped by. Appreciate that support. Blazco's. I don't know. I'm trying to give everybody some love right now because there were so many people. Will Burns was active in the chat. I appreciate everybody who was just, hanging out, doing their own thing over there while watching us. And I'll see you all on Telegram. So after the live stream, always hop into Telegram to keep the conversation going. Absolutely. And links are in the description below to Gabriel's NFTs. Maybe we could really show them that we do want those physicals with our digitals. I think we can prove that point, and I think Wax will show you. Yeah. Not a lot of people have, Ethereum. It seems to be the average person is kind of priced out. But if you were to be able to sell like 10,000 print for $1 each, might be able to convince you of this, and I hope that we can.
Yeah. All right, we'll get on Wax then.
All right, you heard it here first, guys. And Ryan said he finally got a LeBron. We were talking about this yesterday. All you need in life is 1 Charizard and 1 Bitcoin, and I think I have to add a LeBron to it.
Yeah, a Charizard and a Bitcoin.
So it used to be all you need to retire is 1 Charizard and 1 Bitcoin, and I think you need to add a LeBron James.
Do that top shot.
Have you seen the LeBron James NFTs?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god, dude, it's hilarious. Yeah, and it touched on exactly what you mentioned by artists actually just drinking a cup of coffee and selling that video as an NFT.
Right.
It's exactly what the NBA is doing with LeBron James every time he shoots a 3-pointer. 3-second clip, $7,000.
Amazing.
I would definitely love to watch you drink coffee.
Drink some coffee, man. Come on. Give us that video. And you're gonna.
That's what Wax is for. Wax is for exactly that. That wacky stuff you were thinking of. That's fun. What you would use Wax for, to have so much more fun, and then take yourself more seriously in Ethereum as an artist.
Absolutely,
it makes a lot of sense.
That's what I do. It seems to work. It seems to work well, honestly. But also do whatever you think feels best for you and what you do, because that's what's most important. That's what's going to help you create the best stuff, So keep all that stuff in mind, obviously. But you seem to be doing a very good job, so I don't think that you need our help.
Right, but we're here if you ever do.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We're here if you need us. So definitely.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll jump in. If you guys want to send me the primer or get me started on wax, I'm happy to jump in and figure it out.
Yeah, man, I would love to show you the ropes. It's once you figure it, like once you do it once, you're gonna see that it's way more fun than, you know, a lot of those other platforms. Their UI UX it comes off very finance vibey. This feels more like video game-esque.
Yeah, it's more.
Okay.
Yeah. All right,
yeah,
guys.
there's all kinds of fun stuff that I want to do that, you know, when you have a brand that you're really trying to refine and make the message really clear. It's, you know, I have some digital bananas right now. It's like, where am I going to do that? So there is stuff that
I will tell you right now, I will buy a banana wax NFT from you right now. That's
wax
hilarious.
bananas.
That's exactly what wax is for. Like, go bananas. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks again, man. This has been so much fun, guys, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Shout out to Senor Lupe. We have a collab coming out. Only 111 NFTs will exist ever. There's a mint 1 of 1, a mint 10 of 10, and a mint 100 of 100.
I'm gonna grab the 1 of 1.
Yeah, you can try, dude. Senor Lupe's community is going to jump in as well, so keep an eye out for that on NFTforsale.com. Yes, that's right. I own NFTforsale.com. And no, the actual domain is not for sale. Have a day.
Have a day.
Hello, happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Kenn Bosak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh, yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Kenn Bosak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Kenn bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. We're 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 gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get some Kenn Bosak.